More of the Zach Gelb Show on Fox Sports 920 The Jersey.
When I bought the Rolls Royce, they thought it was lease. Then I bought that new Ferrari, hey, to rest in peace. Hey, to rest in peace to the parking lot. Phantom so big, can't even fit in the parking spot. You ain't talking about my...
All right, welcome back in. It's the Zach Gelb Show on this Tuesday, Fox Sports 920 The Jersey. Our next guest who joins us on the David Lerner Associates hotline has been dominating Twitter. Eagles win the Super Bowl in the month of February. He wins Rough and Rowdy. And then also, he gets Michael Rapaport fired from Barstool. In addition to having some news last night about LeBron James, which ended up being some fake news. But now joining us on the David Lerner Associates hotline is the champ. And that is, of course, our good friend, Smitty from Barstool. Smitty, what's happening, my friend?
Hey, how we doing? Thank you very much for the intro music. They forgot it during Rough and Rowdy, but you gave it to me right there. I love it.
Hey, I try to make up for other people's errors, but I'll tell you, your cell phone entrance the other day playing the song by Meek Mill was just absolutely terrible. You got to be better than that. You got to get some good speakers coming into the studios.
Hey, Zach, I'll tell you what, my man, I'm not about the pomp and circumstance. I leave that to my hype guys. I just prove it on the field and in the ring.
Well, before we get to the entire Rapaport thing and Rough and Rowdy, what was up with this LeBron story last night? You got a lot of people excited.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was excited, obviously. I got, I grew up in Malvern. I went to Great Valley. I didn't go to Malvern Prep. And I got a couple, I won't say insider tips, but a couple rumors going around last night on the text chain that obviously weren't substantiated by any means. But, I heard a couple things that LeBron may or may not have been in the area. And, I'm not a quote-unquote journalist. I don't have that big J diploma. So I threw it out there on Twitter. Why not? And then half hour later, it was deemed false, and, I threw that out on Twitter too.
When you first heard it, did you actually buy it? Because when I first heard it, I said, LeBron's not going to tip his hand. Like, he's the drama king. Exactly. He's not going to tip his hand on this stuff. Well,
that was one of the reasons why he kind of blew it going back to Cleveland, because he or tipped his hand because he had some school issues with his kids going back there. So you're right. I didn't think he'd be that much of an idiot to do that again, unless it's something that he wanted to. But I kind of got a little too much info too quick and got excited and put it out there. But you're absolutely right. He wouldn't be that much of a stupid moron to do that this early.
I'll tell you this as well. I've been on this LeBron train to the Sixers for over a year now, and I've been thinking that this has a possibility of happening if Joel Embiid stays healthy and he loses again quickly to the Golden State Warriors. He keeps on teasing us, though, with the Instagram posts, watching Ben Simmons, all those tweets back and forth with Ben, and I've actually got some people, not a lot, but some saying they don't want LeBron James in a Sixers uniform that are Sixer fans, and I think they're absolutely crazy. Smitty, why wouldn't you want the king?
I agree. You bring them on early, and you get a championship or 5 years earlier than expected.
All right, let's get to the juicy stuff as we're talking with Smitty from Barstool. Rank these 3 events for me. Eagles Super Bowl, Rough and Rowdy victory, and getting Michael Rapaport fired. How do you rank them?
Eagles Super Bowl number 1. I would trade both of the latter 2 for Super Bowl victory a million times over. I mean, there's really nothing comparing the first and only Super Bowl in Philadelphia sports history to anything else. I would do a lot worse than lose Rough and Rowdy and have Michael Rapaport fired for an Eagles Super Bowl, or another one, let alone this one. After that, I'd go with Rough and Rowdy, because that was very it wasn't just 3 minutes in the ring. Both of us were training nonstop and hard for 6 full weeks, 2-a-days, and getting the absolute living crap beaten out of us, sparring. So that was a lot of hard work. So that was very fulfilling, obviously. And Rapaport, I don't want to see anybody get fired. I don't want to see anyone get hurt, but, he kind of had it coming.
Come on, that's BS. You wanted to see the guy get fired. You were celebrating the other night on Periscope.
Absolutely, I was. But the Rapaport thing with me goes back months upon months. And, it happened during fantasy football when, see, this is the problem with Rapaport. He just never really had an off button, and you really couldn't tell what was shtick or not. Yeah, we play things up as kind of characters, and build it up, but we're also very friendly with each other around the office. So when he comes into Barstool and threatens to get me fired and tells Prez that I'm a nobody and explains to my boss that I should not be at Barstool, that I suck and all this and that over fantasy football, like that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And then we ended up betting over daily fantasy, and he owed me a certain amount of money, and he never paid up. And, it just kind of snowballed from there, and he kind of got what he deserved in the end.
When something like that happens, when Michael Rapaport goes to Dave Portnoy and says, yeah, you got to fire Smitty, how does that go down? How does that play out in the office? Like, does Portnoy have a meeting with you guys, like it's a principal's office, and you guys talk this out, or is it just, hey, let it be?
No, it's a big-time let-it-be story. Let us hash it out either in front of the scenes or behind the scenes, because you really can't tell what's shtick and what isn't. I took that personally because Dave is such a wild card as it is that if this big-time movie star comes, a quote-unquote movie star, comes in and tells him to do something, I don't know if Dave's going to just be like, okay, and just out of sheer instinct fires me, and the stubborn principle, which he obviously has, like keeps it up and just like doesn't go back on his word. So you have to be very worrisome when you're around King Longshanks and his will at any given day. But yeah, Rapaport just he when it comes down to it, he's a bully. He's a bully, and I hate bullies. And he got what was coming to him.
Here's what I don't get about it. This is not the Olympics. This is not the NCAA or a Super Bowl. Like, who gives a rat's ass if you juice for this thing? Like, I don't get what the obsession was, the sick obsession was with whether you juiced or not.
Oh, I don't think it was an obsession. It was just something that he saw that he thought he could have gotten a clear advantage over me some way, somehow. Because even if when our rivalry started back in fantasy football, every single thing that I said or did was backed up with like facts and evidence, and it just completely trashed him, and everyone had my side. So he saw this as an opportunity to kind of smear me, even though, like, did I take a little bit of testosterone? Yeah, why not? But like,
what did you actually take?
I took 10 milligrams of Winstrol or Stan's oil.
How many times?
A day. For 4 weeks.
Oh,
and
wow.
Yeah, I mean, I did it orally.
But hold on, like that's crazy. Like, why do that for Rough and Rowdy? Like, just train a little bit, right?
Hey, man, when you're 33 years old, you take any advantage you can get if it's legal. And do I regret it? Maybe I regret not being totally transparent with the operation, but it really didn't. I wasn't injecting Smarty Jones horse testosterone in my butt and it turned me into the Incredible Hulk. It made me feel, instead of really crappy the next day after training, it just made me feel crappy. So, you do what you got to do.
What was the training like for this? Earlier you said you got the living snot beat out of you on a daily basis for this. What was the training like?
Yeah, Shawn had personal MMA trainers. Chris Lytle being one of them, and another one, the full-time guy he hired who was the strength and conditioning coach at Ohio State previously. So he had really hands-on one-on-one training at that Fantasy Factory in Barstool, Heartland, in Indianapolis. I went to a sweat box in Manhattan run by a bunch of hardcore Puerto Rican boxers who just beat the living crap out of me for 6 weeks. And I don't think I could have gotten prepared any better.
Talking to Smitty from Barstool, who joins us right now on the Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920, the Jersey, via the David Lerner Associates hotline. Getting back to Rapaport. Like, I don't have a problem with Rapaport. I've never met the guy. He's definitely boisterous.
That's why you don't have a problem.
Yeah. He's definitely boisterous, and, he never shuts up, which could get very annoying. But for a guy that talks so much smack, like, to then issue a cease and desist order, like, to me, that's the weakest thing of this whole thing.
Yeah, he's a fraud. What can you say? I mean, he's all bark, no bite. Not to say that he needs the bite anyway, but just someone who just gets really, really personal and in your face and goes for the jugular. I mean, you got a guy who gets made fun of on Twitter by like a guy with 10 followers. Michael Rapaport's going looking into like his background and trying to get him fired from his job. It's like, dude, what reality do you live in? Like, relax a little bit. Like, take a deep breath. You have a pretty good life. There's no reason to be this angry. You're a loser, but don't worry about it. Let people live.
What's been the conversation like in the office the last few days?
You know what? Yesterday and today, yesterday and today have been the most glorious, unifying days since we moved to Barstool, New York. Michael Rapaport, I have to thank you for bringing this office together like it's never been before. Nate and I haven't talked for 6 months. We're all hugging and kissing, having a pizza party over Michael Rapaport's death. It's been great times.
Now, I have to get to the hard-hitting stuff. What happened to your arm? Oh, that's the big question a lot of people told me to ask you. Why are you in a sling? What happened?
Yeah, I did something to my rotator cuff. I either on a punch or it was during the fight. It was either a punch or I hyperextended it or Junkyard Lou when he violated me post-fight and celebration. Something happened, and I felt it after the fight once the adrenaline kind of wore off a little bit, and I went to our fight doctor straight out of West Virginia, and he said it probably is a sprain. If it hurts Monday, Tuesday, get it looked at again. Otherwise, the best thing to do is just start drinking it off. I was like, oh, that's some great West Virginia medical advice right there. But
it's like a frat house.
It's a rotator cuff, hopefully strained right now. I find out tomorrow if there's any tear. But we're looking at a couple weeks before we're getting back into it and talk rematch or something.
For people that don't know, describe Rough and Rowdy, because I saw you guys did what, like 40,000? You got 40,000 people that bought this thing over the weekend?
Yeah, 41K
wow.
Pay-per-view subscriptions. Rough and Rowdy is basically I don't want to say redneck boxing fight that anyone can join, but it's a redneck boxing fight that anyone
you
can
basically
join.
just said it.
And where it's legal, which is North Carolina, West Virginia. And it was basically an underground monthly boxing event that our boss, Dave Portnoy, went down to cover a couple of years ago, and just the characters in this thing, they're just amazing and electric and just something you never seen before. So Barstool naturally bought them, and we own the rights to Rough and Rowdy now. And since that time, employees have laced them up and went at it. Some have beef, like Tex and Hank in the first one. Others don't, like Shawn and I. We just did it for the glory of the game. And it's taken off. You really can't explain it unless you see it live. And once you see it live, you can't look away.
Getting back to Rapaport, like, I know you think he's a jerk and you clearly didn't like him. When was the moment that you started to hate him? Was it all from the fantasy stuff, or did you not just like this guy from the start?
I was very indifferent from him. There are two times that I really started to hate him. Number one is when he was upset about us not taking the fantasy football league he started for Barstool seriously. And he did it live on the rundown. He just stood up and said, "Hey, nobody here's talking trash. How about somebody mans up and starts talking trash?" And I just stand up and just like, "Hey, man, I beat you last week." And he comes from my jugular saying, "Who am I? I deserve to be fired." And he just came way over the top. That was the first time I really started to hate him. And the second time is when my ex broke up with me and her favorite show was Friends. So she can go, she can go along with his career.
And then finally, just like your reaction. So Prez, he reaches out to Ian Rapaport when he's meaning to reach out to Michael Rapaport. And then this whole thing unfolds and you find out he's fired. You see the video when the Prez just wakes up and he's in bed and he's saying, "Rapaport, you fired bleep, you're done." Your reaction when you saw that video?
It was pure excitement and joy. I woke up, I just like, oh, what's my first tweet going to be? Okay, it's got to be a gift from the movie Oklahoma or the play. Just, oh, what a beautiful morning. And then I went right to Periscope and opened a bottle of whiskey that I've been saving for 6 months. I mean, it's to quote Kevin Malone, it's finally nice to win one. And I've won a couple this month, and hopefully it doesn't stop. Yeah,
well, what's next for you? You have the Eagles win the Super Bowl, Rough and Rowdy, you get Michael Rapaport fired. Like, what is next for you in this month of February?
I mean, you just got to keep fighting the good fight and see what happens. I got a couple things I can't really talk about right now, but I'm sure you'll see them soon.
You got it. Before we let you run, as we wrap it up with Smitty from Barstool, the Super Bowl, let me just get a little bit of a feel on that from you because, hey, when Brady gets the ball back the first time, not the final time when he threw the Hail Mary, I didn't think they had a chance on the Hail Mary, but before the Brandon Graham strip sack, I'm thinking Brady's going down the field. He's going to win this. And the story this year of the Eagles, and I've been covering the team throughout the entire season, I just never saw this one coming. No one did. You know, Doug was a village idiot. Howie was a loser. And all these guys just proved everyone wrong this year. So give me a little bit on the Eagles.
Yeah, the way I've railed against Doug Peterson and Howie Roseman up until this year means that I can never trust any instinct or knowledge or fact that I have again, because them winning the Super Bowl goes against anything and everything I've ever believed in up until probably halfway through the season when you can see this team really click and play well together. I mean, this is the best team, and they have the greatest team chemistry of any squad I've ever seen across any sport. And you just have to give it up to Doug Peterson, of all people. He gets these guys ready to play every single week, and they just came out and did it. They didn't care. They just came out and did it. And I credit Howie too, but don't discount Joe Douglas.
Yeah,
I mean, there's no
good point.
There's no coincidence that Howie was your average hit or miss general manager for 7 years, albeit that 1 year he was put in seclusion, until Joe Douglas comes in. Then everything's a hit. I mean, they better lock this guy up for life.
I'll tell you, the Eagles are like you. You know, Rapaport calls you a nobody. Everyone said the Eagles are a nobody. Now you guys get the laugh last. You know, you get that last laugh. So you guys are doing pretty good right now.
I'll tell you what, hungry dogs run faster, baby.
Smitty, great stuff. We appreciate it. Thanks so much, my friend.
Thank you very much.
There's Smitty from Barstool joining us on the Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920 The Jersey. You know, fun way to start off the show here on a Tuesday. It really is. It's some funny stuff. Yeah, because I was watching that unfold over the weekend, and I saw the rough and rowdy, the big punch by Smitty that he landed. I was watching that on Twitter, and then me and my friends were getting ready to go out. I think it was for dinner, and we see all this stuff about Michael Rapaport. Then the next morning, you know, you wake up and you see he's fired. So some crazy stuff happening with Barstool. But hey, you can't, if you're Rapaport, you can't be saying the company you work for, you know, their fan base are a bunch of losers. You know, if I got on the air here and said everyone's a loser, or on my other station I work at, everyone's a loser that listens, yeah, my bosses wouldn't be too happy with me either. It's the Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920 The Jersey. We'll take a timeout. Little Meek Mill will take us to break. 609-9199-9200 is the David Lerner Associates hotline. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit about LeBron James and why I think it makes a whole lot of sense for King James to come to Philly and team up with Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, and hopefully Markelle Fultz by then he had his shot figured out. 4:35. We'll take a timeout. Be back right after this on the Zach Gelb Show, 9:20 a.m. Fox Sports.
Candyman casting grind like I'm broke. That Lambo, my new, she'll ride like my ghost. I'm riding around my city with my hands on my toes, cause these want me.